Hey, here we go. Just a heads up, tonight's probably going to be the last regular one of these we're going to do for a while. We're shifting focus, priorities as far as what we're producing here, but it doesn't mean it's going away. It's just going to show up now and then a little bit differently. Where to start with this one? The Men Who Stare at Goats. If you haven't seen the movie or read the book, great pieces on a real program where the Army decided to start dabbling in the idea of using psychic ability as a weapon. One of the things that they were trying to do was see if you could stare at somebody and kill them. Or, gosh, they did so many things. Remote viewing, though, is the big topic for tonight, and particularly the end of the remote viewing program. Came across this little document. This is another one that it's yeah, you're gonna love this. This is a UK report that the FBI documented, that the CIA documented. Are they? Is the CIA spying on the FBI? I mean, what? Anywho, but they had to document it, and there's this interview. It's a really good biography. I'd love to find the actual video that they ended up doing here, because it looks like it's well scripted, but it's wordy. So we're going to skip through it a bit, pull out some interesting pieces. The big things to know here are two names, Dr. Verona, and then a guy named, I think it's Ed Dames. We're going to talk about Mr. Verona, Dr. Verona first. We'll do this a little bit Star Wars style. We're going to go, it is Revenge of the Fifth today. We're going to start at the end. Following the Iran Gate scandal of 1987, Defense Secretary Frank Carlucci had instituted a wide-ranging review of potentially embarrassing Pentagon programs. And in 1988, a Defense Department Inspector General's team descended on the remote viewing unit's offices, demanding to see the files. As far as we can tell, that's pretty much when this program dissolved. But like most programs, they tend to just get a new name and keep going. This one had a few names, but hey, we'll get to that. So here we go. US use of psychic spies reported. Jumping in here, we're going to talk about a guy named Stubblebean. He retired from the Army in 1984 to become an executive at BDM Corporation, a Washington area defense and intelligence contractor. He left BDM a few years ago and now lives in New York, where he is married to Rima LeBeau, a controversial psychiatrist who has claimed that she is a UFO abduction victim. I've got no opinion on that. I really don't know what's going on with UFO abductions. By 1985, the program had been expelled from the Army, but it still got to keep its offices in the Army compound at Fort Meade. It was called it got renamed to Project Center Lane, and then later it became Sunstreak. In its first few years under DIA management, the unit included the Witches. Two women called Angela De Fiora and Robin Dahlgren. De Fiora skewed a remote viewing and instead channeled her psychic data through a group of entities with names like Maurice and George. Dahlgren practiced tarot card reading. In the eyes of Ed Dames, important name, and Mel Riley, Angela achieved an undue influence on the unit when she began to give personal channeling sessions featuring advice on the most intimate matters of their lives to Jack Verona and other officials. So there's Verona. Jack Verona would sit at one end of the table and Angela at the other, recalls Dames. She would say, "Good morning, Dr. Verona. Maurice says hello." Their eyes would be shining when they came out of those sessions, recalls Riley. They were told all the nice things they wanted to hear, which reinforced Angela's position within the unit. Psychic blowjobs, says Ed Dames, referring to the activities of the witches, activities of Angela and Robin. To witness them, he told me, and the other antics. Golly, I can't read tonight. To witness them. Where am I? What? I got distracted by psychic blowjobs. To witness them, he told me, and the other antics of the witches was too much to bear for professional military officers. But Dames, as much as anyone, was caught up in the transformational dynamic of remote viewing. Dames got bored. Dames did not have enough to do. So in his ample spare time at the unit, he began to use remote viewing techniques to exercise his own spiritual and extraterrestrial interests. Under the guise of advanced training, he says, I began to see what remote viewing could do. You know what I mean? Dames's advanced training targets included apparitions of the Virgin Mary, the demise of Atlantis. It's at the bottom of Lake Titicaca, apparently, says Dames. The Loch Ness Monster, a dinosaur ghost, and great many flying saucers. Dames left the unit in 1989 and formed a company called SciTech to make commercial use of his remote viewing skills. He separated from his wife and moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, believing that the nearby deserts harbored a hidden Martian civilization. Yeah, hidden Martian civilization in New Mexico. Hey, could be. He calls himself a wilderness prophet for our time. He ended up predicting to the local media that in August 1992, the aliens would arise from their desert dwellings, shocking the world. Yeah. That's right. We had guys like that running psychic programs in the Army, trying to see if we could use psychic abilities to visit other parts of the world to assassinate people. And I'm telling you, it's not the most bizarre, right? It's not the most bizarre, but it is one of the most bizarre elements of these declassified documents that you'll find when you go digging. It's so much fun to go through. It is a lot of sifting through some boring reports, but there are all kinds of things, and I mentioned this in the description. There are all kinds of little nuggets that allude to things or confirm things that on their own, I can't really just read it off to you because it's like a 3-word line that confirms something that lots of other people have said about something. But they're there, and when you find those little things, it's really encouraging. It keeps you reading, makes you wonder what else is going on. Gosh, that's just the stuff they let us know about. It's so much fun to go reading into that, and just remember that at the end of the day, a government is a body of people, often, most notably, ungoverned. Anyway, thank you for watching all of these. I have had so much fun doing these. They're not going away. They're just going to be changing format a bit. They might get integrated into other things. We might just have standalone special videos like this here and there when I find something really particularly cool. to share with you. So stay tuned. More is coming. Thank you. Have a great night. Keep your eyes on the stars because, especially these days, they might move. Good night.